The anime begins with a girl and her child walking down the street in the rainy weather. She is hiding from someone. As she hides in a house, she is met by an unknown woman. She offers to hide with them from the rain, to which the girl says she has to go to the pharmacy to get some medicine. As soon as the girl left, she disappeared forever. It turned out that she had abandoned the child and left. Many years after the incident, we are transported to a fair with many goodies. A little girl asks a man to buy her some sweets. The guy's name is Liu Shu. He is the main character. The girl's name is Liu Hsiao-Yu. The characters have no money, so they can't afford anything. But Liu Shu buys the girl some sweets anyway. When they left the store, they heard from passersby that people with superpowers had appeared. Liu Hsiao-Yu saw them and ran to the stage to take Liu Shu's hand. The girl is sitting on the hero's shoulders, looking at the stage where the actor is blowing fire out of nowhere. Liu Shu says he is weak and puts the girl down, after which they approach the stage where the hero stops time and gets superpowers. He starts to watch the performance of the guy with fire and is delighted, after which he and Liu Hsiao-Yu decide to go behind the scenes, where they enter a closet room. They hide because unknown people appeared there and threatened the actor and knocked him out. Unfortunately, the heroes were noticed and were able to convince the thieves that they were looking for a toilet. After that, the thieves justified themselves by saying that they were firemen and that the fair was not authorized. At the exit, they were met by an unknown man whom they ignored and walked next to him to the exit. As Liu Shu walks away, he decides for himself that the men in black are looking for all people with superpowers and neutralize them. In the dialogue between Liu Hsiao-Yu and Liu Shu, it turns out that they are not siblings. They are both children from an orphanage who now live together. The girl is sure that she can awaken superpowers, but Liu Shu is not. They return home, where Liu Hsiao-Yu watches the evening news about the development of powers in children and people. Meanwhile, Liu Shu wants to cook noodles, but he is out of noodles, so he has to go to the store to buy instant noodles for Liu Hsiao-Yu. Liu Shu doesn't like it, so the girl asks to eat the walnut hanging around our hero's neck. He refuses. The girl cries, so the guy goes to the shop. There he remembers his past, how he was bullied in school, and the girl defended him. On his way to the store, the boy crossed the street, but suddenly he was hit by a car. His body appeared in a dark room. He was bleeding to death, and then his mother opened and disappeared. A system appeared and resurrected him. Suddenly, the hero woke up and thought that the driver had violated the traffic rules, so Liu Shu, who stood up like a zombie, made him pay compensation for this incident. The driver was scared like a little child. The number 131 appeared over his head. The driver could not stand the pressure and ran away, shouting that our hero was a ghost. Then Liu Shu went to the shop and was told to go to the doctor. He escaped and ran home, where he was met by Liu Hsiao-Yu, who was surprised to see Liu Shu bleeding. The hero said that he was just hit by a car, and Liu Hsiao-Yu started to get angry. In the shower, the hero noticed that he didn't even have a scratch. Then he noticed the trees on the boat. And in the room, he calls the casino. It turns out that the numbers above are negative emotions that turn into Liu Shu's income. The hero realizes that the more he makes people angry, the more he can earn and become stronger. He takes a spin in a casino and loses. Then the second, the third, the fourth. But once he managed to win, it was an apple, and he ate it and became much stronger. Liu Shu continues to play, loses many times, and wins a big prize. He gets a letter with a song, which he sings and discovers new strength. He also annoys Liu Hsiao-Yu by refusing to cook her noodles and gets 100 points. Later, while they were eating, Liu Shu felt something. Suddenly, a news broadcast came on showing an explosion in the city center. The hero climbed up on the roof to see where the explosion was, but he met the same people in black. He started to hide. The men in black turned on a flashlight. Then the hero remembered that these people were the same people who had neutralized the fire circus. The hero climbed down the roof and decided to pretend to pick dried radishes, and the men in black told Liu Shu to go home. The boy realizes that they cannot sense him, but he can sense them. As he spoke to Hsiao-Yu, something fell behind him. They went outside and saw an unconscious man. Thinking that he was dead, Liu Shu decided to test it by starting to annoy the unconscious man. Numbers began to appear above his head, indicating that he was conscious. Suddenly, the guy regained consciousness. When Liu Shu refused to let the boy go, the same circus performer set fire to the hero's hand. But the hand would not burn. It went out again and again. Immediately after that, the boy began to resist, and Liu Shu let him go. Liu Hsiao-Yu asked why Liu Shu did not burn, and the boy replied that he was stronger than him. The girl said that he was weak and let him show his strength. Immediately after that, the boy went to his room. He discovered a shop where he bought a fruit that gave him incredible strength. Liu Shu traveled to his power, a system of planets around the sun, where he set fire to another new planet. To test his strength, he lifted the bed with one hand. At the time, the news was showing footage of the explosion. Meanwhile, The boy decided to piss off his classmates by sending a text message. The next day after the incident, the boy was selling eggs at the market. Suddenly, he was noticed by a group of classmates who ignored him. The next group of boys decided to approach Liu Shu. The main boy, who was the bully in the school, started to aggressively attack Liu Shu, but the boy quickly let go of the bully. The protagonist offered to buy all the eggs for the bully, which caused the whole line to break up. The bully decided to outsmart Liu Shu by paying with a card, but Sa Qing, she came up behind him and said that the bully owed her and put the money on the table. The bully, who was the headmaster, decided to give the eggs to Liu Shu and left. Later that day, at school, Liu Shu started to watch a video about the abilities you are given when you wake up. Level F is for physical strength. Level E, mastery of water and fire. Level D, barrier. Level C, protection against projectiles. Level B, control of the elements. Level A, synergy with the heavens. The hero realized that he was at level F and suddenly stood up and asked if there were any awakened ones in the school. Then he justified himself by saying that he was talking about the ones on the website. At that moment, a student burst into the classroom and said that someone had awakened and was raging in the school. The hero sensed a person with superpowers. He ran upstairs, where he noticed the girl hiding her powers again. Already on the roof, the awakened student is holding the teacher hostage. Liu Shu decided to earn some negative emotions, so he went out and started telling the boy a lot of information, causing him to lose concentration and get caught. An hour later, as Liu Shu walked around the school after entering the classroom, he saw people from the Black Clan. They were taking blood samples. The boy was caught. In the evening, when the hero went home, he met the guy who was at the fair again. He turned out to be the grandson of his grandfather who lives here. Liu Shu ignored the boy again and went home. It turns out that Liu Hsiao-Yu has a fever. The girl got sick because she took care of Liu Shu and washed his clothes in cold water. The guy left the room and started playing casino roulette. After many unsuccessful attempts, he finally hits a fruit and gives it to the girl. She is instantly healed and gets well. He gives her the fruit many times. The hero explains that these fruits are his power, and she will get power too. Also, when the hero started talking about the class, the girl freaked out and closed the door. The next day, rumors started circulating in the school that a cultivation class was about to appear in the school, where the awakened ones would be. After that, a teacher and Shi-Fei's teacher from the black race came into the classroom. They began to recite a list of people who had awakened and were now being transferred to the cultivation class where Liu Shu was. Somewhere in the distant lands, a fierce battle was going on. The place looked like an empty field. A thief said that all nations belong to the ruins. But the hero we are shown says that all those who cross the border will die. After this sentence, they started to attack, but the hero fights them with ease. Despite all their tricks, the hero wins easily. Meanwhile, at the school, men in black were bringing in things to feel negative emotions. In the evening, Liu Shu came to school and showed his ID card. In the classroom, they sat down on the floor, and at that time their new teacher, Shi-Fei, came to the blackboard. So Liu Shu just sat down. In the evening, as Liu Shu passed by, he heard the boys bragging about their B-class strength. They also made fun of the fact that Liu Shu had the least strength of them all. But he decided to upset them with an grandfather who had been sick earlier, and his name was Uncle. Liu Shu asked what he was practicing, and his uncle replied that it was a sword technique he had mastered over the years. He asked if Liu Shu wanted to learn, to which the hero simply said, "No, I don't want to," which made his grandfather very angry. At the market, he improved himself and his body. After a long time, he finally discovered a new level of power. His star chart reacted to change purple knife. He immediately tried out the sword and calmly went to bed. The next day, he went to class where the awakened had robbed a bank yesterday. At that time, the headmaster made a motivational speech, saying that Liu Shu was too weak to participate in operations like saving the world. He also added that Liu Shu had known the hero's star chart does not match the power of the crystal. The next day, he met his uncle practicing outside. His grandfather asked the boy again if he was interested, but Liu Shu was no longer there. At that time, the headmaster was playing arm wrestling in the classroom. Liu Shu came in and challenged him to arm wrestling. The headman lost right away. They played the second round, but the headmaster lost again. Liu Shu asked what the name of the organization Shi-Fei worked for was. His friend replied that it was called Earth Networks. There are also Heavenly Networks. When Liu Shu visited them in the evening, he felt that there was a person with powers there. That person was the Heavenly Networks who had come to his uncle. It turned out that they had cured his grandfather of his illness. This man offered to join them, but the uncle refused, blaming it on the principles of the company he had founded. The man tried to bribe his uncle, but the uncle stood his ground. The man left, and Liu Shu watched him, calling Liu Hsiao-Yu and asking her to teach him to read and write, since the hero works a lot and has no time for it. The next day, Liu Shu and his friend watched a video of a robbery committed by the Awakened Ones. At that time, he began to receive negative emotions from his grandfather. He thought it might be Liu Hsiao-Yu who was making him angry. When he went home, everyone was talking about Chao Qing-chi. That girl used to hide her powers. When the hero got home, he saw a strange image of his grandfather arguing with the girl about math. Since they are brother and sister who have awakened, Liu Shu also receives negative emotions from Liu Hsiao-Yu. The grandfather asked Liu Shu to practice swordplay, to which the boy replied that the grandfather would have to practice math with the girl all the time. This made them both very angry. Then the grandfather brought the weights that Liu Shu would have to carry. He also gave an example of people who had mastered strength using his technique. Suddenly, the hero picked up the weights, threw them, and caught them, saying that they were really heavy. The old man was stunned because the weight was 265 pounds. Liu Shu said that he already had some strength training. His grandfather decided to teach him a punch that could cut through anything and showed him the punch. His grandfather asked him to do 1,000 punches, and Liu Shu started to learn. Punch after punch he learned. He successfully performed 1,000 punches and had tea with his grandfather. At that moment, the grandfather began to tell the boy that the greater the strength, the greater the responsibility, so he would have to help not only his sister, but other people as well. The hero remembered how he had taken care of Liu Hsiao-Yu earlier. The grandfather said that he would continue to teach the boy, but he set a condition that we, the viewers, were not told about, and we were postponed to the next day. Liu Hsiao-Yu was having snacks and studying with her grandfather. Suddenly, an unknown man approached them. It turned out to be the guy her grandfather had been talking about when he was teaching Liu Shu. The hero learned from Liu Hsiao-Yu's negative emotions that he was the head of Heavenly Networks and ran home to meet him. When he arrived, an unknown man asked him who he was and praised him. Even though the man was about to leave, he started talking about the ruins that were appearing all over the country. Then he left. It turned out that his name was Shi Shuijin, and he was one of the weakest of the Heavenly Networks. After that, his grandfather gave them the mood potassium alloy and asked them to do tests to find out their level. At night, they dripped blood into it, after which the alloy began to glow, and Liu Shu became darker than in the diagram. When the boy went to hide the test tubes, his grandfather caught him and asked him what their level was, and Liu Shu replied that the two of them had the lowest level of power development. His grandfather was furious. One night, Liu Shu got a new level and gained super defense. He even tested him with a knife. Meanwhile, Liu Hsiao-Yu had also improved and was now stronger. Liu Shu came into the room, and the girl hugged the boy. Suddenly, she called an ant back from the dead. This is her new power. She began to check how many living things she could accommodate. The answer: only one. It turned out that it took as much energy to summon back as it took for the strongest creature to die. They began to experiment on pigs. They even tested how much the resurrected gray hair was similar in strength to the real one. Liu Shu called for a knife, but the pig ran away. And then the boy killed the pig, which made Liu Hsiao-Yu very angry. In the evening, the boy was cooking dinner for the girl. Suddenly, Liu Shu felt that someone was having a violent fight nearby. They climbed up onto the roof and started moving toward the source. It was a group of bandits on the bridge. Shi Fei and his team were fighting with them.